The different line weights in Revit are controlled through the Line Weights dialog box. To find the dialog, we need to select on the Manage tab on the ribbon, click on Additional Settings, and then select Line Weights. It'll bring up the Line Weights dialog box, and the first thing we need to look at is that there's 3 tabs going across the top. The first one is going to be Model Line Weights. This is going to affect the vast majority of the things that you draw in Revit. Pretty much anything that's modeled will show up here. There's Perspective Line Weights. This is the way the things will show in perspective views, such as a 3D view. There's Annotation Line Weights. This is the way that your dimensions, and to a certain extent your text, will print when it comes time to print them on a sheet of paper. If we select on Model Line Weights, we can see that there's a variety of scales going across the top. There's also a number of line weights going from 1 all the way down to the number of 16. Now these line weights are corresponding with the scales going across. What this means is that in this instance we have a number 7 line weight. At 1 inch equals a foot, it'll have a certain size. In this case, it's 0.05. But at 1/32, it'll be 0.013. So it's going to be a thicker line weight at 1 inch equals a foot as opposed to 1/32 of an inch. The appropriate scales, we're going to have the differences between maybe a detail level scale and a floor plan level of scale. Revit only has 16 line weights actually associated with the different objects in the program. But just because it only has 16 line weights, those line weights can be different depending on the scale of the drawing. If we need to add a scale to this, we can do that by selecting on the Add button over toward the right-hand side. When we do this, we can pick a scale off of the list, and these scales correspond with the scales that are available for different views in our project environment. In this case, I'm just going to pick the top one, which is 12 inches equals a foot, so full size. Because this is full size, it will put it right here at the start of this list. And the reason is that the biggest sizes will always show up toward the left-hand side, and the smallest scale sizes will be over toward the right. Here we can see that it's placed this on the list, and it's given us a default set of measurements right here, or line thicknesses. Where it generated this information from is whenever you select on Add, and then you choose the scale, it will look and see what other scales are here on the list that are close to the same size as this one. Then it'll pick whatever the closest one is, and it'll give it the exact same line thicknesses as the one that's closest to it in size. From here, you could click inside the box, start typing in a new dimension. So think of this as being a way to give us sort of a base point for which we can start all of our different line thicknesses when it comes time to select on the Add button. If we want to delete one of these rows, which means deleting one of the scales, you just highlight on that, select on Delete, and you can delete any of these scales that you don't need off of the list. So the Line Weights dialog box controls all those numbers 1 clear through 16 and the way that they're going to print at an associated scale.